benjila i-tools ngawasebenzisi kwanyalo ngoba kwenteka lokho. Sister kakhulu.
Yes, sir.
But ngale psychology I'm the future upcoming. So and sister sayabona ukuthi okay lesi sister uhlala because it's English now. Then funeka sabuya ngala sal address something in English. In fact the psychology ngiyalo ndo wathi ukuthi it's English but ngingathuna senizomagama la kahle ndawuvela igama lesentulo bese bayasibhalela abangconyana sanza ukela Rev Peter ngalokuthi hayi kuhlekani nganifundzela nganika leyo map ukuthi nasebanifundzela kahle nasebanitshela kahle nibe nikilo umcondwe ngaminika wona. It's Rev Peter so get ready God. You will find the difference nasebadisho kahle. Baba ngithokoze lenkulu like to invite you in this section. Manusisi laphana lapha. Kona singesikhathi esincane. Esiphinde sahamba. Bathi babe stakunika isikhathi babe kubeke lapho longabeka khona. Press team sisi. Ngomali kahle. Hayi ejayiva.
We lift him higher, higher, higher. When the blessings go out, His glory comes down. Lift him higher, higher,
May the meditations of my heart and the words of my mouth be pleasing to God Almighty Father. Amen. Mufundisi, the leader of the Anglican youth in Eswatini, I think I can recognize those. And each one of you in your esteemed position, I greet you all in the precious name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Good evening. Angniva, Sanibonani, Sambama, Nijani. That's wonderful. Thank you very much for, first of all, inviting us to come and talk to you at your youth gathering. And also, thank you very much for the warm welcome that we have received. We would like to thank God that He has enabled us to be here. Otherwise, it has not been easy. We would have been here much earlier. But a few things happened and we got delayed. You know, when you are an adult like me, you never get late. You get delayed. Sefana hii. Ngahamba ngitshela abantu ukuthi ufundisi ufike late. Delayed utulomsana. Okay. So this afternoon around midday, my vehicle got a major breakdown. Broke a clutch in Manzini town. And I thought I would be able to come. But then my daughter was around and she borrowed us a vehicle. And we said we are going to do our best to come. I am Peter Semogerere Mogalu. I'm trying to get people to accept my real surname Mogalu. Otherwise, I'm known too much as Semogerere. I come from Uganda and I've been in your country. I want to claim it too. I think I'm not going to offend anyone when I say my country, Eswatini, for the last 31 years. In King of Siswati Yangeshola. Yeah, Silkon. Until I was Portuguese in 6 months. 3 months I was speaking Portuguese. Siswati 31 years, solo. No. Either it's very difficult or the problem is with me. And it is possible that what is eating my hair is also playing with my brain. You never know. Something is eating up your hair. I'm entitled to say that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm married to Lamgo Metulu, and I have 3 beautiful daughters. One is already taken, the other 2 are still at school, so don't get ideas. But later what's the crowd? Get a crowd. Get a spy. But I speak up in Tinko later. Ah! Said I painting for the squam of a fire. Incomunai. I almost fainted, ladies and gentlemen. How are you this evening, young people? You remind me of the time when I was young myself, and I missed this kind of life that you have to gather in the house of the Lord, rejoice and celebrate and dance to the Lord, dance for the Lord, that the way you are doing. Keep it up that way, and whatever happens in your lives, please do these 2 things, and I think it will cover what I will be saying. Number 1, never ever give up on your faith. Never. And the other one, learn to solve problems without going into drugs. I'll be speaking for a few minutes here, and as you can see, that's not a presentation. Those are discussion guidelines I have there. But I want to tell you, people ask how to quit drugs. And I tell people, the easiest way of quitting drugs is not to start using them. So please, those 2 things, remember, young people, and one day you'll be old like me, and look back with no regrets. On my names there, you can see below, there is ICAP, ICAP 1 treatment, It is a very recent qualification that I got by the grace of God and the goodwill of the government of Eswatini. That means international certified addiction to treat or to help people who are struggling with drug abuse. It is a disease, it's a big problem around the world. So the world is coming up with a new profession to professionalize, to make uniform the work of preventing and treating drugs. Mufundisi, ladies and gentlemen, young people, I'm traveling with a young man here, Mr. Pumlani Matsebola, who is a senior volunteer at Sadat. Actually, he's the leader of our field team. He has been with Sadat for the last 13 years. Namusha Masmukurumale Metura Gurabanya Bantu, a Caritas, which we have been saying 13 years for too long. I think they are finished. He has done 14 years now. Been with us all these years. Napale Boguti Terenza Balai Kaplapendas Raba Gamalaki. He qualifies this young man to make the presentation that I'm going to make and also to talk with you on issues of drug abuse. Mr. Pumlani Matsebola is a student of theology now at the Eswatini College of Theology in Eswatini. I am an Eswatini Wapone Lavanga on Masifigala. Let us now enter into the business that brought us here. I'm going to cut it into two parts. I'm mindful of the time, and I'm going to do my best to be fast. And I think we have a problem before we continue. Anyway, let me first tell you the two things I'm going to do. Number one, I'm going to talk briefly about the Association of Students Against Drug Abuse and Human Trafficking. I bring you greetings and love from that organization and its leaders. And the second part will be going through the question or the issue of substance use. And I had wanted not to make a presentation, and I was saying to Pumlani even today as we are driving here, go through the presentation quickly, and then if more time is available, you can ask me questions. I don't know if the one who invited me wrote down some questions, because I told her that I would prefer to have questions and answer those. Now, I just said there seems to be a problem here. Mufundis, looks like there's a problem in the house. People are just too relaxed. You just, there's no test. There's no test, okay? No test. A few weeks ago, now no test at the end. Relax and let us listen to one another. Thank you very much. That's the longest I've been. If you don't mind, then you can start your Okay, how are you guys? How are you guys? Yeah, I remember when I was still young, it was wonderful. This is Sadat. It is a student-driven organization that I founded in 1998. At the moment, it's been some time. We're members of the National Coordinating Mechanism for Tobacco Control in the country. And we're also members of the Technical Working Group on Adolescent Health in Eswatini. Next slide, please. These are the services that we offer at Sadat. If you have heard about Sadat, these are the services that we offer. We give advice, we do counseling. Those of you that are teachers here, I think you know the thin line between the two. We make motivational talks, we do training, we do research, we provide information to scholars or even parents. Some people just want information about drugs in the country, we provide that. We do emergency intervention, like recently there was COVID in the country. We organize food and we distribute it to the people. And we also do crisis management. If there are issues that may be sincerely disturbing you to the extent that you want to take your own life, or you think somebody wants to kill themselves, or people are on the verge of beating up each other, you can call us and we can intervene. The number is simple. They call it a silly number. That's not a big word, but don't use it, okay? Silly words. Are you still with me, guys? The number is simple, 76115858. 76115858, especially for crisis management. Anytime you call, if we are not available, we do our best to call back as soon as we can. We have a problem with 79, those ones give us a trouble, but if you want Swaz MTN, I'm not marketing Swaz MTN, but it is the one we are using easily. Next slide, please. Now, when students join Sadat, we oblige them and then we teach them the principles that we use in this organization. Respect, responsibility, dedication, non-antagonism, constructive silence. Those are the principles. They are like the cornerstones of our organization. I think you will know the others are very simple to understand. I'll just talk about constructive silence about 10 seconds. You see, the world we live in is very complicated, and the people want to cause trouble for others. And then some people accept to be causing trouble too, to be offended even when it's not necessary to be offended. So now, you may hear people have started a story somewhere about you, or they tell you something that can be very annoying. We are saying in Sadat, and we teach, do not say, okay, do not ignore them. Don't just ignore them. Do not say, let them talk, they have their big mouth. After all, they talk bad things about Jesus, about God, about them. So let them talk, they get tired and stop. No. We say, under that principle, sit down, yourself, and ask yourself why people are talking about you like that. Not self-blame, but this is a reflection to say, what have I done? And if you find that there is something you have done, then work on it, correct yourself. If there is nothing you have done, well and good, continue with your life normally, then let them talk. That is the principle of constructive silence. It goes together with the principle of non-antagonism. Don't go back and say, ufundi senifile, uchiwena there will be no peace in the world if we do like that. Next slide. Then we have guidelines. I'm telling you this because some of you are still at school and I would like you to join this organization. Some of you have got children at school. Again, you are relatives or brothers and sisters. I would like to ask you to request them to join this organization. That's why I'm taking you through Sadat. So Sadat has got guidelines. I finish with the principles. These are guidelines. We give them to students. And we are saying, if you want to enjoy yourself now and later in life, I said later in life, I didn't say future, because I don't know when the future begins. Or it keeps going away, I don't know. Because I don't know if I still have a future, or I'm into my future. Maybe Mfundis will tell me when we leave this place. Otherwise I ask people, when does the future begin? Just look at me. So I talk about later in life. So if you want to enjoy yourself now and later in life, we tell students in particular, and all of you young people, if you are still at school or college, try these guidelines. You will forget I ever spoke to you. You will forget me, about me rather. Have a vision. What do you want life to be like for you in the years to come? Make your studies a priority. If you're a student, let this be your number one business. Obey your school regulations. Be honest and pray. Prayer is not at the list, whatever, at the bottom of the list, because it is useless. No, we had to put it somewhere. But it is the most important thing there. because it makes all the others possible. And when you pray, young people, don't complicate things. The students of theology will tell you many things about prayer, the types of prayer, positions of prayer, and all those things. It's wonderful when you have time. But the best prayer I would recommend is when you speak to God, when you speak to Jesus, when you speak to the Holy Spirit, like you would be speaking to a friend. Speak to God like you would be speaking to a friend. Next slide, please. The last one we have in Sadat. It's not easy to be a member of Sadat. That's number one, because these things are not easy to fulfill. But this is the last one. This is a code of conduct. How our members are expected to behave. Number one, don't take drugs. Good. Because when you are doing these things, when you have gone through the principles, when you are into the guidelines, and then in the code of conduct, there would be no need for you to be using drugs. So now we don't focus there. Make your studies a priority. Then we have a list of things they must do. And when they accept membership, they sign this document. And they keep a copy, and we keep a copy of this document. There is a list under each of those codes. Code 2, they have to show respect to the leadership and other members, giving precedence to the hierarchy of the association. The patron on top, then to the list of our members. The youngest, not least, the youngest of our members. Maintain and promote the good reputation of the association, and also work for the attainment of the objectives of the association. That is Sadat. Next slide, please. Now I would like to talk about drugs. Are you still with me? Are you there? Yeah, we are going to talk about drugs now. And this is, I'm just going to be very brief about these things. Drugs. What is a drug? Therefore, I had time, and it was early. If we had arrived early and maybe we had a whole afternoon, we would be going to groups and learning. The best way to learn about drugs, by the way, discussion, speaking sign, things you are telling us how to correct. We know this, we know that. Okay? But now we don't have time, so I'll be telling you. A drug is any substance that when taken, any substance apart from food, that when taken changes the way the person feels, thinks, and behaves. Those three things. It changes cognition, it changes mood, it changes behavior. If you take anything and it does any one of those things, then that's a drug. So there are many types out there. We know insan, we know alcohol, not tobacco. But some drugs are good. Let us not forget that. You know about Panadol, you know about aspirin, medicines, they are good. And some drugs are lawful, they are legal. They won't arrest you for having a cigarette or alcohol, no, but they will arrest you for something else. You know these things, isn't it? So, but here, the main problem we have is with the drugs known as psychoactive drugs. Those are the drugs that cross the blood-brain barrier. See, I have another presentation here. I'll share with some of your leaders with pictures about these things. The way God created us, I believe in creation, I believe in creation. My grandfather was not a baboon. But amongst the forms and evolution, there's a monkeys, they will eat this and that. But yeah, I will see. Okay, so the Creator made the brain and separated it from blood. Blood is not supposed to go there. So there is a layer between the blood where it ends and then the brain. But then there are those substances that cross that barrier and then you go inside there and disturb the brain. If I was to stop here, everything you see that happens when people have taken drugs in their behavior and their health is because the drugs have tampered with the brain structure. the structure, the form of the brain, and also the function. So drugs, psychoactive drugs, or a drug becomes psychoactive when it has the capacity to cross the brain, the blood-brain barrier, and then disturb the structure and the function of the brain. As you sit here looking at me, electricity is being produced in your brain. Wonderful. It is going this way, going that way, going this way, going that way. If you slow it down, you can see that there's a message from one side to another, then to another, like a chain, like a chain. When drugs go in there, they disturb that process. Psychoactive drugs, you have some idea about them now. Next slide, please. What's drug abuse? When you use any substance for a purpose it was not made for, you are abusing it. When you use a banned substance, it's drug abuse. When you use medication without you being sick and without medical prescription, without that note from the doctor or nurse, you are abusing that drug. Now, with alcohol, this is technical now. Religious and cultural use of alcohol is not drug abuse. When we use it for religious purposes or cultural purposes, that's not drug abuse. And again, when you look at it, really we don't sit down and take plenty, like to make a Paul very angry, to say, guys, first eat at home before you come to church, because now you are causing confusion here. All right, please see now we are there because you are too serious, too stiff. Now I will get you there. Unfortunately, you relax when I'm about to finish, because I'm left with the 2 slides only. Yali mina mangamba kolala kole ngamba kubana bantwana bebetukola. Ole bayabuka bayamangala ucha. Lekameni kunabantu abakunyanga labakaswati. Wena uyafuma umntana uyakucha. Wakuphi lo mnyama lo lungazi? Ungasubiswani. Niyahleka yini? Niyabahleka labantwana labo. Lalelani, bekunalabanye bathi awucha wafunza kumfundiswa. Kumasingisi nje belungu. Kumasingisi nje ngabani? Bobani? Next slide please. Get the next slide. Effects of drugs. They are positive, they are negative. Positive if they are doing something good. Like if even the drugs of abuse, when we are using them to treat the effects of other drugs, then the effects we are getting there are positive. And sometimes the effects are desired by the user. And most of the time, we have negative effects. The effects of drugs may be short-term or long-term. Short-term are the effects that take place immediately after somebody has used the drug. And the long-term are the ones that occur gradually due to progressive use of drugs and then damage to body organs. But the technical classification, for those of you who are still at school, when they talk about effects of drugs, the technical classification gives us 4 categories, classes, groups. Legal effects, economic effects, social effects, and medical effects. And unfortunately, most of the time when we talk about drug abuse or drug use, we focus on medical effects only. I want to tell you today, young people, a lot of marriages have broken up because of drug abuse. A lot of people have lost their jobs, friendships, even relationship with God because of drug abuse. Next one, madam. In general, this is what drugs do. Now, some of these things, you forgive me, I'll be skirting them. I will not be so direct because you chose the wrong place to ask me to talk. I'm standing in front of the altar and it's kind of uncomfortable under circumstances. they impair judgment. If you have sat down with somebody who has been drinking, you can see when they want to pick a glass, especially if they are trying to hide it from Babe or Maggie, that they have been drinking, you will see how slowly they take their hand to take the glass or to pick whatever they're trying to pick. By the way, in the process, the glass falls down. They knock it. So judgment is impaired. It's not only about distance, but even in the other things. That's why those of you who are teachers, you see on Friday some boys behaving real bad when they are high. And then on Monday morning, very polite at the principal's office when the drugs are off, and now the judgment is back. Drugs reduce inhibitions. Again, I would have loved to ask you what inhibitions are, but I think you know them. You know them? Do you know inhibitions? No, I don't know inhibitions. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it well, but you can see it written there. That which makes us different from animals, that which makes us feel embarrassed that I'm a human being. Oh, we are one. Maybe I'll take it myself this time and I'll be careful, okay? I'll be very careful. Okay, that which makes us feel embarrassed, that there are certain things you will not do in public because you are a human being. Drugs will reduce that. Our attendees event nebebne. Mune sitatulana yate nkulu basita rakangwane wasipa the senior a tree, eh? Yeah, tinaleti tuwa basi tumelo mnani nyagwata na mbobela nyati. Nyasate titaka there. So let's start today. So when people are drinking that stuff, one moment to have noma naked, noma is releasing himself or himself anyhow. Our attendees, they are not pretending. The brain, inhibition is gone. Alright? And it increases the libido in the short term. Thank you very much for being here, young people. And you know some of these things, and you are going there. Some of you are maybe already there. The libido, now let me ask somebody if you know the libido before I continue. I found somebody who doesn't know inhibitions. You know the libido? No. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to ask you when we ask. The libido can be defined differently, but Peter Samogere says it's the natural desire and ability to have sex. Young people, we need sex for procreation, to participate in God's work of creation. We need it. Number two, we need it for pleasure, husband and wife. We need sex for pleasure. Then your time. When you are married. Outside marriage, it is a sin. And I'm not here to get you to hell. Yeah, don't go to hell. Let me go along with me. But if there is heaven, I'm not going to hell. To hell, I'm not going. Yeah, I refuse. Because every day I pray that Almighty God, if everything else fails, let me have faith when I breathe my last. Alright? So anyway, we go back to the libido. We need it for peace. When I say this, sometimes young people shout in schools and Kanjan, you know it when you have grown up a little older than you are now, that a man who has a good time with his wife is very good to live with, to work with at the workplace. A woman who has a good time as wife with her husband is wonderful in the staff room. If I'm telling lies, you will come back and tell me. We need it for peace in the world. Now, in the short term, the drugs will increase it. But in the long term, impotence will come in. It will not work. You'll become impotent. If you are a woman, you'll become frigid. Forget about children. Infertility will come in. low sperm count, all those things will come in. If I don't tell you these things today, in the name of God, no one will tell them to you. One, because some people fear to talk about them, others do not know that these problems can be caused by drugs. And then now you are an old man, you are in your 30s or 40s and things are collapsing around you. Then you become a problem to the world. And the last one, in general, drugs impair the ability to control oneself and the environment. Something not difficult to do. Somebody says, the snake is coming. So, you can't control yourself. Where are we going now? We have a big problem between drug use and HIV, basically because of those other effects. That people who are high on drugs just want sex, they don't care with who, where, and how. The beauty that has been given to us by God in plants and in sex has then been destroyed by human beings. Next slide. I've already mentioned, there will be a slide that's following this one, which we shall just skip because I've talked about it. All those things are happening because something has disturbed the brain. Are you with me, church? Something has disturbed the brain. How about if I'm repeating things, just forgive me, maybe others don't know, If one person doesn't know, it's okay. If you all know, I'm happy to be talking to myself, and thanks be to God. There are many reasons why people use drugs, and some of those reasons are very good reasons. But none of those reasons justifies using the drugs. Young people learn to deal with the stresses of life without self-destructive behavior. Learn to deal with the stresses of life without turning to drugs. There are many stresses in this world, many complications. Try your best to learn or to even solve them without using drugs. I was telling young people today at Caritas in Manzini, a time may come when you want to kill yourself and you can't. You are down there. If you can avoid it, if it is going to be caused by drugs, then don't get there. I want to repeat. A time may come when you want to kill yourself and you can't. You can't commit suicide, you just can't. And you are down there. Because you can't reach the means of killing yourself. No man is known to kill himself by holding his breath or her breath and die. Life can become very bad. Don't go there. Tolerance. Now, when people use drugs for any specific reason, there is a certain amount that they take. Somebody takes maybe a can of beer or one cigarette. Then over time, the body gets used to that drug, such that it no longer has any effects. Now, to get the initial effects, so the goodness that you want from that drug, you must take more of the drug. The more you take, the more you destroy the body organs. But you have to take more because you want to feel good. You want to satisfy that reason that you are taking the drug for. We call that tolerance. But there is what is known also as reverse tolerance. Where I come from, I don't know much about Eswatini. I left the villages, the countryside a long time ago. But there are people, we say they smell the glass and they get drunk. Somebody takes half a bottle of beer and he starts singing all the songs he around. He's a happy guy until he collapses. That's reverse tolerance. The system is so damaged that a little alcohol just disturbs him very much. From tolerance, then we are going to addiction. Addiction. That one is a word that we generally use. That is an addict. That one is addicted. What are the drugs in it? It's a big word, a big thing, big name. Addiction is a disease. It is a relapsing, chronic disease. It is characterized by the desire, strong urge to use a drug. When somebody reaches that one, that person is sick. It is not a behavior or character flaw. It is not a sin. It is not being bad. Somebody is sick, like somebody suffering from malaria, and they need help. And these are the people who try to quit drugs and fail many times because they do not realize they are sick and they need to be helped, like somebody who has stomachache going to hospital. If somebody is sick, they need to see a medical practitioner, an addiction professional, or a counselor. There are two types of addictions. As I reach my last 2 minutes, there are two types of addiction. There is the physiological or biological addiction, where the body has recognized the drug as part of the system. The body has recognized the drug you use such that when it is not there, then the body cannot function normally. Then we have a problem. You must use the drug in order for you to function. These are the people you find by vetera. They have to go out outside the classroom or whatever, smoke, and then they're okay. Then they say, oh, when I take the drug, when I take alcohol, when I take insambu, it makes me feel good. It cures my headache. That headache was caused by the drug, that same drug in the first place. Physiological addiction. The second type is psychological addiction. Psychological addiction is when the individual associates or links certain achievement or pleasure with the drug, such that when the drug is not there, they will not feel happy. They will not be able to fulfill those obligations or duties because of that psychological addiction. The last thing I want to talk about here are the withdrawal symptoms. And this is one of the reasons why people fail to quit drugs. These are the discomforts, the pains that occur as a reaction when the body is reacting to the absence of the drug in the addicted individual. The body reacts to the absence of the drug, and then we get withdrawal symptoms. There are very many different types. But one thing is here, and very important, which I want to tell you today. Withdrawal symptoms are temporary. They can be very intense, very severe. People can be hospitalized. And by the way, in the case of a simple substance, this alcohol, and the alcohol we drink every day, alcohol, it can be very dangerous. Acute alcohol withdrawal can kill somebody. And it's recommended that if somebody is addicted to alcohol and they want to quit, they should present themselves to a medical practitioner or health worker, and then they get into a program to stop. Otherwise, they can die. That's how bad withdrawal symptoms can be. Go to the next slide, and I see if I still have a few minutes to talk. I've said that one. I said I'll skip that one when we get there. Move on. I've said there are so many reasons. Of the reasons we talk about factors and the exact reasons. You will look those up. If you are a bit interested in issues of drugs, maybe you invite me some other time when we have much time, and then we learn more about it. This progression of yours, please skip. And there are so many things that one can do in order to quit drugs. I'll make this one available through your leadership, then you'll share on your cell phones. It will save us time. But this is not a self-help list. Depending on where you are, or where this person you want to help is, they need to talk with someone to assist them to use these coping mechanisms. Next slide, madam. These are going to be my last words. I want to show you a few pictures. There is another presentation here. I'm not going to be talking. I'll just sit down and you look at the pictures very, very briefly. And I'll apologize for those who have got small, those who look at bad things and don't forget. I am going to apologize first, because I want you to see and you see the dangers of things that we use because we don't know. And once we know, I want to believe that then we won't use them. Otherwise, for this particular presentation, the main presentation that brought me here, these are my last words. Can we read together? If yes.
Seek help to stop. Learn to deal with life challenges without using drugs.
Please tell our pastor by me just about 5 minutes to go through the pictures I want to watch. When I grew up with this year, we are writing on the chalkboard. You are just go to the next slide. These are the different types of tobacco products. These are the different types of tobacco products. And we have a modern problem. Don't get near when people are using this one. With all the favors it brings, I beg you, don't go near them. It's about tobacco. And when you think about it, you ask yourself, why people are still producing and selling tobacco? And why countries still allow tobacco to be sold? In Eswatini, most of the Parada Fund money, tell them I told you, most of the money in Parada Fund goes to treat diseases caused by tobacco. And in many cases, people who are sick were not smokers, but they live with the people who are smoking. And then those people don't even get cured, they die. Let us not take ourselves there. This one is a big problem. These are the different types of tobacco products we have. Probably no one is still coming. Next slide. You smell the smoke from someone that is smoking. Don't say, I'm not smoking. Then when I will hear you, once you get the smoke, we are paid. And these things are going to get into you. Well, before you burn it has less chemicals, maybe around 700 or so. Yeah, because the marijuana has 350 chemicals. But the moment you light a cigarette, boom, 7,000 chemicals come out. Many of them cause cancer. That's not a joke. Let us go on to the next slide. Otherwise, tobacco is the only product that when used according to manufacturers' instructions causes disease and kills those that use it. Second-hand smoke is when other people are smoking and when you are getting the smoke. I didn't come here to scare you. I came here to tell you the truth about drugs, some of these things. I think even when this stand is here, sometimes it is about hell. You know, some of you will go to heaven because you fear hell, not because you love God. I'm the one who told you. You will burn. The fire will not consume you. Then you will get, not to go there. Go to heaven. Please go to heaven because you love God and you love fellow man. Say, yeah, not because you go to Osaka-kuru if you go, you want to go to heaven because you fear hell. These are diseases, good people. So with the tobacco, there is no body part or body organ that is not affected. It only depends on what part is weaker for you. I left out something very important, but I didn't say it now. Drugs are affecting the features differently. Don't say Mufundis has been smoking for 10 years or Mufundis Semokel has been taking alcohol for 15 years. he's not sick and you will not be sick. Because between 40 to 60%, or we say as much as half or 50% of somebody's addiction is genetic. It is in your blood. Because your father, your great-grandfather was an addict. Now you are wired to be an addict, but what? The moment you take maybe when you have that in you, I mean, I don't have it. So now you get addicted and become a nuisance in the village faster than I'm not, because I'm not wired. I don't have that in my genes. So be careful, young people, keep that in beauty. Man, you are handsome and beautiful. Now clap hands for God who made you so. I need to hear. Next time continue the program in the morning. Go to the next one, we are done with the diseases. Go down to the next one. Now, what is the word doing? The word is saying, let us have these warnings on tobacco packets. Because now what we have heard are the writings, tobacco causes cancer. And you know, for this, what do I tell? Even some sticks of cigarettes written, tobacco causes cancer. So somebody still buys. They won't tell you why. That person is addicted. He doesn't think. The moment that person wants nicotine in the system, nothing else will stop him. But now want to say, let those who at least those who haven't started, look at those pictures. They are not drawings, they are pictures of people caused by tobacco. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Now the lungs and deform the children. Addition there. Next slide. Moving up. And some people think maybe God has created the child without deformed the child. And you were smoking. Somebody, you were smoking. Your husband was smoking and you were pregnant. You were busy taking alcohol, then you get the child 2 times. Next slide. Bafana. Who's not able to take? You don't have food is thinking. You smile and then the woman will come and tell you phone is the money you joined me with him all matrimony and some phone. By the way. You smell, your underwear smells tobacco, your hair smells tobacco, your arm smells tobacco. Then you stand next to the student, you are teaching mathematics. Don't want to feel yebo. Have you understood yebo? Come on, and then your wife has got a big problem. This is tobacco. I didn't come to scare you guys. I just came by the grace of God that I share these things with you. And thank you for being such a wonderful audience. I think the last slide is the end. I was supposed to go. I'm going to go. Yeah, it's very bad. The mouth, Nari. I'm not talking about a virus that has come like a COVID and caused you trouble. I'm talking about diseases that are caused because you were smoking or because you were near people that were smoking. And the last slide. Why do I say last and it's not the last one? That is smoker's body. This information is there on the internet. That is smoker's body. You know what? You will get married. I'm talking to youth. My assumption that you're not married. Listen here, good people. Listen here. You will get something that looks like an STI. Do you know what it means? I think Mufundis can tell this. Do you know what it means to wake up in the morning and you see yourself ushi? Then you are going to Mufundis, the rector, all the Semogerere. Please, my wife is unfaithful. I've been coming to church for all these years, I've never seen any other woman but ngishiye. Ngisasebi ngaphambi kwakhe. Sokothiwe wona wabhema imfazi na lapha high school. Likwaye ngishizile. Kothiwe. Mighty God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's my daughter, the last born.
Thank you so much for this, for your time. I think the missing party
is the number of your daughter.
I told number, but I'm reading an organization, but they don't have much information how to gather it, or maybe a website for it if there is no number.
76.
Yes.
Who are you? 76.
58.
And I say it's the city. Yeah, 76115858. You go to the internet, you write there, Sadat Swaziland.
Someone don't call. Mfundisi sansithi sababutamile sicela kumukela imibuto bese lokuhambisana nalapha lesikhathi sanyaka. Kude satawuvela yena siyabuda.
I have a commuter voice, so you can use the.
What is the other one?
I just wanted to ask on number one, the church and people living with addiction. Where do you think we need to strengthen and are we there? Are we visible in people living with addiction? And if we are not, where are we lacking? And if we are there, where do we need to strengthen? And number two, how do we discourage the usage of drugs as a church without being seen as people who are being discriminatory? I will put it that way. Because the world, when you say something you are perceived as someone who is judgmental, and you are being, the church is then perceived as an institution that is not accepting of certain behaviors and stuff, and we are painted negatively. So how do we then balance discouraging without being labeled as people who are not accepting and discriminating against others? And thirdly, you touched a bit on marijuana, and I just wanted to ask if, because I'm looking at where we get our influence as a country, and our Makirani, South Africa, and also because we are living in a global society, everything is on the phones now. The church, how influential can we be in this wave that might even come in Swaziland of the legalization of marijuana? And if we have not started, where can we start? Do we need to do research as a church so that when it comes, we are prepared to say these are the studies that we have, why do we need to legalize it and stuff? So those are the three questions that I have.
I hope I remember the first one. Let me start with the third one. There is nothing that beats knowledge. Empower yourselves and then know what is good for you. Time has come, and we started it today, to let parents know that they can no longer sublet the fight or the prevention of drugs of their children to other people. It is your responsibility. Similarly, you young people, individually, it is your responsibility to empower yourself and then stay away from drugs. It is your responsibility. Then for the church, it is the responsibility of the church to sit down, make those surveys you are talking about. And the church is a very rich organization, by the way. You have so many experts in different fields that you can use to determine or to forge the way forward to address these issues of drugs. So when it comes to legalization of marijuana or not, it goes back to you as an individual. Are you aware of the dangers of using that stuff, even when it is legal? I've just shown you tobacco here. It's a legal subject, product, but it's not bad. Then when it comes to marijuana, the main problem, and by the way, it disturbs school principals a lot, and some parents that are caring, it goes too much on the brain. The tetrahydrocannabinol that is there is very bad for the brain. Now, we know that marijuana cures certain diseases. That's a fact. It is those chemicals that are there. It does. The question we ask, and I want to ask you today, is at what cost? That you have chest pain. When you take marijuana, you're okay. But you are getting mad. The eyesight, it's going to be good, but you are getting mad. So we are going to find you picking paper there in town with your clean chest, but with a gone brain. There are some things that you have to consider as an individual, then as a parent, and then as the church. Empower yourselves. With the marijuana, once it has been processed, there are certain things in it that are good. The problem now we have is that if it's used the way it is, for purposes that are not medicinal, if you say recreation or whatever, then we have got a big problem because of those other things that are there and it causes disease. So, whether it's legalized or not, it's neither here nor there for somebody who thinks well about their lives. You asked where we are as a church. The fight against drugs has been taken too generally. People are just starting to look at addiction as a problem. So before, we were saying somebody is sinful. That's why they are using drugs. Now we realize these people are sick and they need the attention of the church. They even need prayer to get out of this kind of situation that they are in. So the church still has a lot to do. You are inviting me here is a step in the right direction. If you can invite even other professionals in the field of substance use, then you are moving in the right direction. The question is it sustainable? Will you be able to invite me again? Will you be able to have this kind of meeting again? So there are small things that the church can do in order to reach out to people who have not yet started using. As for those that have started using, the church can put up a program or programs where they can find help without appearing to condone the use of the drugs. I want to repeat this one. The church can put up programs that can help the people who are using drugs. That one we have to talk to the elders of the church. You people have to talk to the elders of the church and say, let us have a program to address drug abuse amongst the people in our church. Remind me, second question was about the gaps. I think there are several gaps. The church has got schools. The church has got schools, but those schools do not have programs against drugs. So they can do something about it. It's not necessarily sad that they could find some other organization that maybe is doing the same thing, and those children in those schools can be helped. The church has power when the children are still small, in preschools or Sunday school, because we must get them there at their age. If I'm talking to Sunday school or primary school, I wouldn't be making this kind of presentation, or even the way I made it. It will be age appropriate. The church can do that, and then something will be, some good results will come out. That's how I look at it myself. There are gaps. There is something the church can do. As when it comes to your third question, marijuana, you make a personal choice. Even when the thing's there, you just make a personal choice. Yes, please. Me, I had a big lunch. If you want to keep me here until 9 o'clock, I'm okay.
Yes, you are right. Tell them what I'm doing. So we're going to see bad things. But I don't see a car. Ukora romona was to my tracks. And in our bone, this is not as a corner of the see a corner of a food is around one. Just for now I have a lot of suicide. So, if you are told me, you need to corner would say, in getting I want nothing to be with. Then but why legend. That's how the number two, the number one now cool now is the yeah. Only road motor. Now I road motor, I want to say payment. Automatically so kuna Sunday school okhuluma ngaye nanazi usida sinayo amaremote ukuthi shaphi babebanibani mama bebanibani ishinanga manifani bese utasho sokuthesa ngene line zilula za line la then ukhanze ukuthi uyadibhemela babanibani uyadinathela babanibani then ngenda njani mina because sokuthi ngizofuna ngihambe ngicela phasi ufunda remote lapho ngine line so silimala lapho nesine akusibo bonke abantu abathiyadwa pressure wathwa iyayo amaremote lesibala zela umuntu uyabala abasha that's like everything akona ngafika sije nyalo shevu wona ngapha yena session page wenza ukufundisa abashumayela anything la yenda amaremote la vele ngifamaza ukuthi sheje mona wakho so mina ngicela sisiqhuje sibantu abasha noma sibandla ukuthi unangisanje school wethu lo la nangalapha ngaphandle ngoba sibodwa labana lona abantu abakhulumisa lapha sonke labana ngaphandle abangasile badla abangakuthola isithola ukuthi sibangena njani bona bebakhulumisa abantu.
Thank you very much. At Sept, we do not allow our members to stand and testify. We also encourage people who have come to us for support and they stopped using drugs not to go out there and brag how much they were assisted by Sept. Among other reasons is the fear of what is known as falling with the role model. Somebody stands here and says, I stopped smoking, I was smoking for so many years, and now I'm no longer smoking. And the next thing they are smoking. Then you are like, oh, can you do this one? So you lose it, you fall with the role model. So what you are saying now, and everybody has heard you, let us be careful about how we consider other people being role models. When we preach, we say, do not follow the priest, do not follow the pastor, follow Christ. Because the pastor is a human being. One day, if something bad happens, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but sometimes things happen, and this person becomes maybe disobedient to the bishop, or this person now has got so many wives around, and then you were following him, then you are going to have problems with your faith. So at your age, and also when you talk to the younger people, advise them to be careful about role models. For instance, the role models we see on TV, those guys are acting. Some of them are holding that cigarette. It's not even lit. And they put on the fire in the studio and all those things. And then for us, we get to think they are smoking because they are my role models, so they are drinking beer. There's no way you can go drinking beer that the way it is advertised and then you play rugby that way, or you play football. So it's important to address the issue of role modeling. You asked a question, actually I expected this kind of question to come. When I addressed the young people at the church in Mankayane a few years ago when I just come to the Anglican church, they kept asking me, how do I talk to my friend who is using drugs? How do I help this friend? There is no simple way of doing it. But it also depends on how close you are with this individual. Again, there is what we call icebreakers. There are what we call icebreakers. There should be a situation that can help you to start talking about these things. Maybe you are walking together and then you see someone who doesn't look good, without belittling that particular individual or making fun of that individual, or you are listening to TV, or you are watching football, something comes up, use any opportunity where there is an icebreaker